morning, everybody. It has officially been 1 week of Camp NanoWriMo for the year of 2024. My streak is still going strong for week 1, which is great. Word count, not so much. That's something that I do want to do a little bit better at today. I do have a lot of plans and projects for today. As you can see, the shed is not done, still needs a roof. We were missing a piece and we were going to try and see if we could find that piece before continuing on, but at this point we're just kind of like, screw it, we're just gonna wing it just so that it's done. It's just a shed. So we're gonna do that. We're also trying to get rid of all of this gravel that is in the backyard, trying to put in some clover later to prep all the debris that we have over here to just be taken away. Oh, do you want the fun tour of all the stuff that I found in my freaking roof? We got 2 lamps. 1 lamp, 2 lamp, Western in style. All of the drywall that fell from my kitchen ceiling. That is a cupboard door, I think. An entire pile of decorative pillows. Some old blinds. This connects to like a whole side of a table. And my personal favorite, this freaking rock. This freaking rock was on top of the drywall that fell. And that's not the only extremely heavy object that fell from the ceiling. Basic goals for today, other than of course the prep for the yard work, for writing specifically, is writing before I get into bed, that it's not my last activity for the day. It doesn't have to be super early, it doesn't have to be during lunchtime, but it does have to be before I'm getting ready for bed and before I'm about to fall asleep. So that's Monday's goal for week 2. I have my camera back. I always had my camera, I just didn't have all of the batteries charged. I couldn't find all of the chargers. So I finally found one of them, and it is my goal to just consistently keep on charging all of my batteries once I can find all of the cords to them. I'm also currently getting ready to go to a youth activity for my church. I just recently became kind of like a youth leader for the gals in my area. I'm very nervous. Pray for me. So yesterday was the first day that I wrote 0 words, and I did not redline or anything, so my streak after I believe 9 days has broken. Yesterday was also the first day that I literally did nothing with the challenge. I think that the main thing that I am struggling with currently right now is trying to find a good time rather than right before I go to bed, because right before going to bed it's a bit of a gamble. Are you gonna write? Are you not gonna write? It could be either one. Should I do a side braid? I don't even know what I'm doing with my hair right now. Something that I have been wanting to work on for a while is putting together an email newsletter. I know, what a shocker. Honestly didn't get the point of why they were doing it until I was looking more into traditional publishing, and a lot of people will not even consider you for traditional publishing if you do not A, have a newsletter, and B, have a certain amount of people looking at your email newsletter. So that was news to me. I know I'm very behind the times on getting this all situated. But I always seem to be in like writing mode, right? I never really got to the point where I was editing so much of my stories and where I was actually thinking, hey, I could send this out. I always assumed for the longest time that I would just stick with non-traditional publishing and just do self-publishing because it seemed to be so much easier. I had so much more control over stuff. And for some of my work, I am still very much interested in going that route. I don't think I'm interested in going that route primarily and only. I think to start out, I think that doing just a few projects that are self-published is not a bad thing. And then later on, as my craft gets a little bit better, I gain a bit more experience, then I could potentially jump into that. Who knows, I might be shooting myself in the foot doing self-publishing before traditional publishing, because everybody says that. Everybody has so many opinions about this. You think Democrats and Republicans argue a lot? Try people who are gung-ho self-publishers and gung-ho traditional publishers. Now that is a debate. I never really thought about stuff like that, going back to my original point, because I just wasn't really in that headspace yet. But now that I am kind of more in that headspace, I now have a science fiction novel where I am in the second part of drafts. I now have a trilogy where I have written all the books. I just need to go and actually edit them. I'm getting much closer to publishing than I have been ever. And so trying to navigate that new part of life that I'm just not very experienced with yet. And so yes, I was thinking about starting a newsletter. And one of the things that I was doing as a part of my first newsletter was actually the experience that I have been having during Camp NanoWriMo now. Because I feel like with actually committing to long periods of time where you are consistently doing a lot of work, a lot of mental work to get this big project done, I was thinking about realistic expectations that we should have on ourselves as humans when making these lofty goals, because it's important to make these big goals, otherwise you're not going to progress. You're going to stay stagnant and pretty much nothing is going to change. But if you overdo it, you burn out, and there is a little bit of resentment of even accomplishing the goal in the first place because it took away so much of your energy. So I was trying to write down some things that I kind of realized with the day that I just did not want to write. And it wasn't writer's block, which is not super common. Usually when I don't want to write, it's because I have no idea what to write. But in this case, I knew exactly what to write, and I still didn't want to do it. So that kind of got me thinking of why that happens. So I wrote a little article about it, and basically the reason why I did not write anything yesterday is because I could feel myself burning out. I could feel myself not feeling excited about writing my book and kind of going against basically every single tip that I've given myself. And because my word count is so high each day for my daily goal, I have had to push myself past the point of me actually being in the groove and enjoying it. I get past that point and I get a little bit tired of writing, but then I think to myself, oh, I wrote 850 words, I'm so close to my goal, come on, let's just push a little bit more. Now I'm becoming resentful of actually writing in the first place. Luckily, this goal of me writing 1,000 words a day, writing, editing, revising, whatever it may be, I am grateful that it's not like my overall goal forever, you know? I'm glad that this is just more of a challenge. It is short term, it's not going to be forever, but it will still be helpful in that way because we worked really hard for a short period of time and then we can stay consistent for a longer period of time. But I also am understanding that there are days where I'm not going to feel like writing, and that's okay, but there are different things that I can do that will still help my writing. I can look up book cover inspiration. I can think about ways that I can outline a little bit better. I can think of different plot holes and just kind of like free write some of my questions. I don't actually have to do the physical writing line by line in order to count it as a writing day. And honestly, I feel like I would count that as a writing streak. But at the same time, sometimes you need a break. You need to let your mind simmer a little bit so that you can come to those conclusions on your own. So yeah, I guess that's the first newsletter that's going to be coming up. I have no idea how to set up a newsletter. I'm still working on that. Obviously, I know the point of a newsletter is just to update all of your different readers that are interested in your works to newer works. But I also want to make it enjoyable for you guys to read every single week. So at first I'm starting off with just some lessons that I have learned as an author. Again, I don't want to go off of the idea that, oh, well, since I've been writing for a very long time, I'm going to give you advice. Please don't take advice from me. I have done what works for me. I've done what works for me. Not everything that I do is going to work for you. But I would like to share the things that work with me so that people could potentially try it and it could be helpful. And if it's not helpful, don't take it so seriously, you know? Tonight, since I do have plans from 7:30 until about probably 8:30, I probably will have to do my late night writing again. But I think that for tomorrow, my goal is to do it after work. So rather than doing it during lunch, because I tried to do it during lunch and I didn't like it. So we're gonna try and do that. I would really love to finish up those red lines, and I know I keep on saying that every single video that I make. I'd really love to finish up the red lines of that chapter so that I can just get on with it, shut that book for a little while, start working on the secondary plot of the second book. I feel like that'll really put things into perspective for me and I'm hoping that it'll work. It might not work. We'll see if it works. And obviously Sleepless Wonder, I would love to get to a point where I am consistently editing on Sleepless Wonder enough that I could get done with the second round of drafts so that I can get a printed copy so that I can read it as a book and actually really get into getting like those line by line edits. But I know that I do have some big plot holes to fill with Sleepless Wonder, so if I don't get that done, I'm not gonna beat myself up about it. Even if I can just get like halfway done or even 3/4 of the way done, I'll feel pretty proud of myself. Thank you so much for tuning in on my ramblings about my writing. Sayonara, you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.